Aurora, Nature's Child, Part 1. Rural Japan, June 2011. A wound will rip through the sky and draw forth a river of cosmic blood, falling to the earth where the child slumbers on her 10th day. Bruce blinked through sweat as he scanned the sky with bloodshot eyes. Nothing but stars. Certainly nothing that matched the words of the prophecy. Flicking his cigarette out of the car window, he spared a glance at his watch. 11:35 p.m. Time was running out. Up ahead on the narrow country lane, the lone house stood dark, the newborn and her parents fast asleep, as they would likely remain. The girl had the lowest probability rating. Last, bottom of a list of nearly 30 such children. And that was why Bruce was assigned to watch her. He was right at the bottom too. Shaking his head and cursing his ill fortune, he checked his phone for the other sign he was waiting on. No word from his wife. He slammed his fist into the dash. May was in labor back in Tokyo, and here he was, sweating his ass off. A feast for mosquitoes, while he stared at an empty sky like an idiot. Meanwhile, all the teams he used to control conducted the real effort over 60 kilometers away, where the omens actually pointed to. Things couldn't get any worse. Bruce closed his eyes and sagged into the seat. If his father was still alive, with an incessant buzz, his phone stole his attention before his hate-filled past had the chance. The smiling image of his beautiful wife came onto the screen. As Bruce moved his finger to swipe across and answer, something else reflected over the phone's surface. A soft red glow filled the car. Bruce's heart stopped. He lifted his gaze to the sky. Listening to the legend as a child, he had always wondered what exactly a wound in the sky was supposed to look like. Now he knew. High above the house, embers and wispy flame burned at the edges of a giant stream of molten red, orange, and yellow light, gushing forward like lava spewing from the burst mouth of a mountain. As it fell, it spread to columns of light, stars twirling and sparkling in its misty glow. Down it crashed to the house. Bruce instinctively ducked behind his wheel as it hit, a wind of red and purples blasting past and dissipating away in total silence. His fingers burnt as his phone fell from his grip, fizzing and popping with smoke. Damn it. So much for calling for backup. What was he supposed to do now? He rose and peered over the wheel, the sky dark and healed, the house and surroundings not affected by the blast. Checking the gun holstered beneath his thin jacket, Bruce took a deep breath, then exited, making his way along the shadows of the road. His old teams would have seen the sign and be en route, he was sure, but so would the others, and they would be faster. There was no time to lose. He couldn't believe it, though. It was actually happening. Excitement and nerves burned inside him. This could be his chance, his way back to the top, if he could bring her in. The already narrow path grew tighter as lush green filled and grew from the trees at its side, sprouting flowers that held their petals wide open as if looking to the sun. Twinkles of yellow and gold rose from the depths of the twirling vines and leaves as Bruce pushed through the ever-narrowing entrance to the sloping driveway. Silent, he crept to the main porch. The door was already open, an inner slide of mesh net covering the space. He slowly slid it across and stepped in. All was quiet in the house as his footsteps creaked along the old wooden floor and down the hallway, a soft smell of incense in the air. At the far end, paper-thin sliding doors loomed next to a narrow staircase. He placed his foot on the first step, looking up and around, his gun aimed ahead. A baby-like gurgling noise came from behind. He spun, hairs on end. The previously dark doors were now illuminated with a soft light from the room within. "Come, Bruce. We've been waiting for you." Bruce froze. That voice, like gravel and glass rumbling in deep water. The space between the doors and stairs seemed to stretch and bend as Bruce's mind failed to process what he was hearing. Somehow the humid night seemed cold as he stretched out a trembling hand and slid the door aside, blood rushing in his ears. Sitting at a low wooden table over the green tatami floor was an old man, a man Bruce knew all too well, a ghost, Elkin. He sat there as if the house was his own, leaning back, his bald head shining in the light above a face shrouded in a thick white beard. Dazzling blue eyes met Bruce's as if looking upon an old friend, his beard rising in a hidden smile. It only took a moment for Bruce to override his fear with anger, for all the vengeance to rise up in his heart and take his actions beyond his conscious control. The gun aimed, his lips snarled, and his finger curled at the trigger. Nothing happened. Elkin's smile faded, the blue eyes covered in a grey mist. Bruce stared in disbelief at the weapon as his finger failed to pull the trigger, held back by an invisible force. "I expected more of you," Elkin said, his voice grave. "You're one of them?" Bruce blurted, his voice wavering. "You're meant to be dead." Elkin shook his head and sighed. Bruce's anger flared, his mind barely catching up with his emotion. "You killed my father," he roared. Elkin's brow furrowed as his eyes took on a fierce look. He sat up straight. "Bruce, I tried to save him. He was like a son to me." "Lies!" Bruce shouted, trying to move but finding he couldn't. The fact Elkin had powers was all Bruce needed to know. He couldn't be trusted, but just how powerful was he? "The girl, she boosts my abilities," he said as if hearing the unspoken question. Bruce grit his teeth. He had to bide his time. "What will you do with her?" he said. "Take her to the others?" "I do not serve the others, only fate itself. To push this child into either side of your war will only deny her that which she needs most. Love." Had he lost his mind? "Elkin, did you not see the sky? She will bring the end of days. I saw it long ago, and have waited for this day ever since. Her fate will be her own. I will see to it." Elkin was going to destroy everything. She must die, and you would be the one to kill her, Bruce. Elkin's eyes had the sheen of tears, but none fell. "The containment teams. You know nothing, Bruce. Nothing of sacrifice, nothing of the truth. I know that you need to die, old man." Something stirred beside Elkin on the floor, the old man pulling a basket into view. Now, little one. It's okay. Go to sleep." The child. Elkin rocked the basket as if a doting grandparent. "What did you do with the parents?" Bruce asked, prompted by the thought. Elkin looked down for a moment before meeting Bruce's cold stare. "Taken care of, so that no one will ever search for her. He'd killed them." The shock must have shown on Bruce's face, for the old man continued. "They were a sacrifice that had to be paid. For them to live was for her to die. Any parent would do the same. Your father understood that, as should you." Bruce felt there was some hidden meaning in the words, but his mind could only think of one. A cold shiver shook his body. "You're going to kill me?" Again, Bruce tried desperately to move. Elkin hardened his gaze as he rose and stepped over to him. A warm and hard hand grabbed his shoulder. "Once, you were like family to me, Bruce, but you are not the same as the child I once knew." Bruce tried to think of something to say, but nothing came. His eyes darted around the room as his body failed to even shake. Settling back on the old man's face, Bruce saw he was crying, and for a second, Bruce's heart felt something for him, like the old man was telling the truth, that standing before him was someone his father had trusted his life with. "Family. I will watch over your son, Bruce, I promise." "My son? What do you mean? She hasn't—" "Forgive me, June." Before Bruce could ask who June was, he felt his own hands turning and rising up toward his chest. Elkin picked up the basket. No, wait, Elkin, wait. I can change. I can help you. Bruce's body landed with a thud on the previously green tatami. The baby cried at the sudden burst of noise. Elkin, tears flowing of his own, held the basket up to his face. "I'm sorry, child. It seems today demanded sacrifices from us both. Now rest, for we have a long journey ahead." As if seeing his tears and understanding something, the baby became quiet.